Hey guys, Papa Pete back again today, and welcome to this month's edition of the INTY Homebrew News and Spotlight.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown up by the age of 50, you don't have to.
Be sure to check out Intellivisioncollector.com for all your Intellivision collecting needs, whether it be ROMs for LTO Flash or Ultimate Flashback, the latest homebrew games available on the scene, or even games for the original 125, that's Intellivisioncollector.com. This month's top story regards the 2022 Intellivision Homebrew Awards, which won't take place until early 2023, but whose planning is well underway to create the best possible experience for Intellivision homebrew creators, television publishers, and fans alike. Carlos Madruga is once again the principal organizer of the event, and after a very successful 2021, he has set several things in action to make it even better in 2022. First of all, as Carlos suggested may happen following the 2021 event, a nomination committee for 2022 has already been formed. The committee is composed of 5 people who have a history of involvement with the Intellivision community and have a genuine passion for Intellivision homebrew games. In an effort to eliminate any potential bias, there are no programmers and there are no publishers included in this nomination committee. The committee members are committed to being fair, diligent, and to making unbiased nominations to the best of their abilities. The names of these committee members will be announced very soon, and once you hear who they are, you will not be surprised. The first task at hand for the committee is to improve the process and guidelines of the awards themselves. They're currently reviewing the existing categories and making improvements and adjustments as needed, as well as deciding how many nominees there will be in each category. The committee's goal is to finalize the parameters and adjustments and release the details prior to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in October. After the PRGE, the committee's focus will switch to selecting the actual nominees for each of the decided categories, with the finalized list being ready in January 23, about the same time as in years gone by. While the awards planning is well underway, another item that the organizers would like to put forth is a call for sponsors. The 2022 Intellivision Homebrew Awards would very much like to find sponsors for the event, so if you're interested in getting some visibility and also in recognizing the good work being done by the homebrew community, the floor is now open for sponsors. Please contact Carlos Madruga directly for more information on what is needed and what is possible. While the nomination committee doesn't include programmers or publishers, there are no restrictions on who can become sponsors of the event. The Intellivision Collector continues to make headlines this month, with their number of upcoming titles increasing from 5 to 6 in 2022. Even better, 2 of these titles are ready to be announced and will be available in August. The first title coming out in August, numbered IC001, is the classic arcade hit Vanguard. Intellivision Collector and programmer The Golden Bat bring Planetarium and the City of Mystery, as well as their 7 tunnel zones, to the Intellivision for the very first time. This 4-direction shoot-'em-up is a favorite of many classic arcade enthusiasts and is long overdue for porting to the Intellivision. The second game, IC002, is The Show Must Go On by programmer Carlos Madruga. It's an action puzzle game where the player is a jester trying to entertain their king by keeping plates spinning while the former jester tries to sabotage the show. With the collector in mind, the Intellivision Collector has chosen the specific numbering system and also would like to let it be known that their releases will be in full gatefold boxes, the same as other top homebrew publishers. The Intellivision Collector has also just released 2 newly engineered Intellivision cartridge shells available to the entire homebrew community to order and use in their own releases. Historically, it's been very common to use the shells from Sacrifice Common games for homebrew releases. And this shell release by Intellivision Collector, it gives creators and publishers a cost-effective alternative to destroying old games. Both of these releases are very similar to original Mattel Electronics cartridges, with one being a black plastic and the other one being a translucent gray. They hold all boards except the JLP boards, but in the very near future, the Intellivision Collector will have even more shells available to the community, including ones that are compatible with the JLP boards. 4 of the titles first announced in last month's news are now available in the Intellivision Revolution Homebrew store. Carlos Madruga's Bank Panic, Nanochess's Castle of Death, and Frankenstein's Monster, as well as Brian Puddin's Keystone Cops, are all now listed as available. More titles from Intellivision Revolution are still due for release at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo later this October, or possibly even before. As reported here last month, Intelligentvision's David Harley is working on a super pro version of Space Armada that'll put it more in line with his inspiration, Space Invaders. In fact, the title has now been officially released as Super Pro Space Invaders, with the game having its own page on the Intelligentvision website. There's also a video of the game where you can see the game's similarities to both Space Invaders as well as Space Armada. Harley hopes to have a ROM package available to purchase as soon as the first week of August, with complete physical editions being available later in the year. William Muller from Electronite has again confirmed that the Pandora incident will be available to purchase from the Intellivision Collector or from the Blue Sky Rangers in September. There will be 80 copies or less of this game upon its initial release, so watch carefully in order to get your copy. Patrice of Cote Gamers has told me that by the time of this video's release, the pre-sale for Norseman will have ended. Although there will still be a few copies available after the pre-sale, the numbers are very limited. The games will soon ship to anyone who ordered just the game, but many have asked to combine shipping with the newly designed Intellivision controller that Cote Gamers has also had for sale, and these controllers will be available sometime later in August. As a teaser, Patrice has also hinted that Norseman will be getting a very dynamic sequel with more RPG elements, but for now, that's all the information that's going to be released. Finally, from Cote Gamers, we have some more teasers as a follow-up to the announcement of their Intellivision-based board game that was here on the INTY Homebrew News and Spotlight last month. There are going to be lots of cards in this game, and these cards will include questions about Intellivision games, with some of them being very difficult and only for the true die-hard Intellivision fan. Patrice recommends that we all start studying. To recap our top story of the month, organizer Carlos Madruga has announced that a 5-person nomination committee has been formed to work on the 2022 Intellivision Homebrew Awards, including not only the selection of nominees, but a refinement of the awards process itself. Although work is already underway, the names of these non-publisher, non-programmer committee members will be announced soon. And now it's time for the spotlight on this month's featured homebrew title. And today, it's a special preview of the Intellivision Collector upcoming release, The Show Must Go On by Carlos Madruga. The Intellivision Collector is jumping into the homebrew publishing business this August with 2 titles, the arcade classic Vanguard, as well as this month's preview spotlight, the new action puzzler, The Show Must Go On. Let's take a look at the gameplay, the graphics and the music, as well as the overall physical package you're going to get when you buy this release from the Intellivision Collector. In The Show Must Go On, the player's a jester who's been hired to replace a fire jester who wasn't able to keep his king entertained because, frankly, the king's pretty grouchy and the jester wasn't all that funny. As the new jester, you've been able to convince the king to schedule a big variety show where you can show off your primary skill of spinning plates in hopes of entertaining the crowd and satisfying your king by successfully getting a plate spinning on every pole in a series of ever-changing playfields. Not only will you be pressed for time to get everything spinning before something falls off the poles, but the former jester is very jealous and he'll try to sabotage your show however he can. There's a few options in The Show Must Go On, accessible through the Options tab on the title screen. This allows you to pick 3 different skill levels, easy, normal, or hard, and also to turn the gameplay music on or off. The game itself consists of 10 increasingly complicated levels of gameplay where the object is to get a plate spinning on every pole at once without allowing any of them to slow down and fall, and without getting hit by any of the evil jester's attacks like knives and fire, spikes, or even flying bat-like creatures that eliminate all the plates that they touch. Every game needs bats, right? Or I think that I even saw a moose in the game too. Anyhow, starting the game and in between each round, you'll see the main King's State of Mind screen, where you'll see his mood as represented by a percentage. The higher percentage, the better. You move your jester left and right and move him up and down ladders and poles with the disc. The only other button used in the game is the side button, which jumps to evade some of the items thrown by the jealous jester, or to go over gaps and obstacles on the playfield. The first thing that you must do is grab a plate from the side of the screen, and once you have that plate, which you can see on top of your jester, you simply have to climb to the top of one of the poles to start it spinning. Over time, the plates start to gradually wobble, increasingly until a point where they'll fall off. You can climb up a pole at any time and straighten the plate up, or respin it per se, which basically starts the timer all over again for that pole. If a plate falls, you lose a try, just like happens when you get hit by one of the evil jester's weapons. You do not lose a life for any of the plates that are removed by the bats that go by, but you certainly do lose some time. You only have 3 retries for the whole game, and losing a life affects the King's mood at the end of each round. On that note, you'll see the King's State of Mind title screen appears again at the end of each round with 3 factors that can improve or decrease his overall mood rating. As I've already mentioned, the retries. If you complete the round without losing any men, without having a retry, you gain 5 percentage points. If you do lose a try, you lose 5 percentage points for each try lost during that round. The other 2 factors on the screen are popularity and flair. The flair is simply performing little tricks and evasive maneuvers like jumping over a gap, jumping over a knife, falling down a gap with a plate towards a pole that you have to climb up, or any other variety of little gameplay events as such. You'll notice when a flare occurs, or when flare is increasing, by seeing and hearing applause from the audience. Tied into these flare events and the applause is your popularity rating. At the bottom of the screen, you can see all the audience members lined up to watch the show. The color indicates their happiness, with green being happy, yellow losing interest, blue more or less unhappy, and red being downright angry. Eventually, they'll walk out of the show. You keep the audience happy by having not only lots of flair and applause, but by completing each round quickly with very little backtracking. The happier your audience, the higher your popularity score. So to sum up the gameplay at the end of the day, the jester has to run around quickly, spinning a plate on every pole without having any of them fall off, all the while avoiding attacks from the jealous jester that you replaced, while keeping the audience and your king entertained. Sounds simple enough? Well, it's easier said than done, but if you do manage to complete all 10 rounds, the king will reward you greatly. I haven't managed to see that yet. Carlos Madruga has done a fantastic job with the graphics of The Show Must Go On. Both of the main screens, the King's Mood screen as well as the gameplay screen, are very well designed. The King's Mood screen is pretty simple, really. It's a picture of the king along with an amusing message, depending on the situation in the game, as well as the round scores, plus the overall mood score. It's clear, it's appealing, and it's very easy to read. You don't really need much more from that. The gameplay screen is introduced by a parting curtain segue showing the act number along with the retries left, breaking away to the very colorful castle screen where your jester, the levels, the poles, the plate piles, and the ladders are all very easy to pick out and see. It's also very easy to see the evil purple jester when he pokes his head from the side of the screen as he's about to hurl obstacles at the player. His knives, fireballs, bats, and moose, I guess, all look great too. The graphics are truly excellent in this game. The sound in The Show Must Go On is a great collaboration between Carlos Madruga, who did the sound effects, and Anders Carlson, who created some fantastic music. Although you can turn the music on and off in the main screen, I never wanted to do so. The title music is excellent, and as is the constant music that's playing during the gameplay. It creates a perfect atmosphere for the frantic tension that the player experiences throughout the game. The sound effects, they're also very diverse and match the different events during the gameplay very, very well. First of all, I do not have a physical copy of this game in my hands as of yet. That being said, I do have a copy of the box art, I have a copy of the overlay design, and I have the complete electronic manual on hand for my preview. Intellivision Collector has brought together a who's who from the Intellivision Homebrew community for the creation of the physical product for this game. In fact, he has 3 of the men who won the 2021 Intellivision Homebrew Award for Best Physical Product for last year's Intellivania. Phil Boland has created the overlays, Mark Thompson's created the manual, and the box design was done by Steve Jones. Not only have these 3 created fantastic designs, but Luke has chosen to have full gatefold boxes as the primary design for all of the Intellivision Collector releases. Overall, this is going to be a very collectible, high quality product. I feel that I've been very fortunate to have this game to play as a preview, and frankly I've played it quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. The premise is pretty cool, and Carlos has created a game here that's not only easy on the eyes and ears, but it's simply a joy to play. It has a great balance of challenge and playability. Even though it's frustrating when a plate falls down, or you don't make a jump, or whatever, like something happens like that, you never get the feeling that you can't do it. You always want to try it again because you feel like you could beat it the next time you play it. It's a pretty difficult balance to create, frankly, so hats off to Carlos for making it that way, and the show must go on. So how will I rate it? The graphics and sound are both excellent, and with the top quality physical components coming down the pipe, the manual, the overlays, and the gatefold box, I say that it's going to be a very collectible game. As for the gameplay itself, it really is rather simple, but there's enough diversity in the enemies and other elements that it truly is a lot of fun. Every time you play the game, the levels are the exact same though, so this will hurt the replayability of it a little bit. But then again, most Intellivision games are like this to a degree, and it's something that you can just pop in and play every once in a while when you feel like trying out the game. Well, with all of these factors taken into consideration, I'm going to give The Show Must Go On by Carlos Madruga, published by Intellivision Collector, a 7 out of 10 rating. Well guys, that's it for this month's episode of INTY Homebrew News and Spotlight. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with Coco and I here today. And I hope to see you for next month's episode when I'll bring you some updated news, as well as another spotlight on a game from the Intellivision Homebrew Library. You take care.
Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. Papa Pete, the old ass gamer. If you haven't grown up by the age.
Hey guys, this is Brian from Brian's Man Cave, and you're watching Papa Pete, the old ass gamer.
What the hell?